everybody. Once again, welcome back to another season of What the Fuck Friday. I'm your host tonight, Jonathan A Moody. I'm here with my co-host.
Paul A Presenza, otherwise known as the Moo Cow Moo.
And we've got our special guest here tonight,
John Ward. Hello.
And John was our, last year was our second guest on What the Fuck Friday. Now is our first. Welcome back. We're very happy to have you back. So we decided to do Llamageddon, and John and I actually watched it in Las Vegas when I came to visit on my way back home to Virginia. So we decided to do it. And I think we were planning originally it was going to be you and me doing it, and then I lost my microphone. I left it in California. So I had to buy a whole new microphone. And I was like, well, this will give us a chance to get Paul to watch the movie and then do it through Zoom. So I figured this was the best thing to involve Paul because, What the Fuck Friday wouldn't be great without Paul here to give us some insight.
That's right.
On some stuff too. So, so we all watched it, and my initial thoughts, because I hadn't seen it before, was that it was definitely a What the Fuck Friday. I think if I recall correctly, I kept screaming "What the fuck" throughout the whole movie already, and I was like, okay, this is definitely a What the Fuck Friday. But it was like had a ton of those things. What about you, John? What was your initial reaction when you saw it?
Well, now I have to be honest. I rewatched the film last night, and when we had watched it in your hotel room, it kept pausing.
Yeah.
And it took about 2 hours to watch this thing, and along with the commercials. Yeah. So when I rewatched it last night, I actually enjoyed it. I liked it a lot better than when we first watched it, because I think it just got tedious with it, knowing that it's an hour and 8 minutes and it just kept spinning and spinning and spinning. It's like, oh my God, when is this gonna, and so I think that really kind of made me not like the movie as much. But I watched it last night, and I actually and then I watched some reviews after it, like Bloodbath and Beyond and some other guys, and I actually have a new appreciation for the film. So originally not a fan, really thought it was okay, but now I like the movie. But my biggest problem with it, it's an hour and 8 minutes, and it feels like 3 hours. That's my biggest problem with it. The pacing is so off.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. What about you, Paul?
Yeah, I would have to say I agree. And I guess I'm kind of still in the meh department. I don't know. I wanted to like this a lot more because God knows I love me some llamas, and I love me, Barn of the Blood Llama. That's like one of my favorite stinky movies of all time. So I was kind of hoping it was kind of going to go in that vein, but it really doesn't go near that at all. And instead, it's a lot more like Paris Hell, where you've got people at a party who don't understand that there's this thing there, and it starts cutting them off one at a time. And it even has that one scene with the hooves on there.
Yeah, that's true.
So I guess because I had already seen those other two movies, seeing it again was kind of like, yeah, this has been done before that I've seen. But, it was different because, the llamas in this one had the laser eyes, and I did like the animated parts. Those were kind of cool. I kind of wish there'd been a little bit more of that. And it had some fun kind of kills, but it also had some stuff that it seemed like they just tried too hard and it just didn't quite work. So I don't know.
I agree with you. And the Paris Hell thing, like if you look up on IMDb, it says like more suggestions like this, and it has Carousel as like a suggestion for it. So it's one of those weird kind of things where it's very similar. Like it starts it's in a party. It's got the Who's, attacking. It's instead of a killer, I guess unicorn, carousel, horse.
Right.
It's a llama, which is a real llama. So it's kind of even cooler.
Louis the llama.
I don't know how
you got to give him credit for the real llama. You got to give him credit for that.
I give him credit for that completely. And like, because I did the same thing as you, John. I watched the Bloodbath and Beyond thing. And they really did some research on it, and they had said like that I mean, it was a real llama. And when I started thinking about the real llama, how they got them into all these different rooms and different areas. I mean, that's a trained fucking llama. I don't I don't know how they did that. I thought it was really cool, and I think Louis the Llama deserved, the credit.
Unlike Barn of the Blood Llama, where it was real llamas, but it was, it was clips of llama that they simply took from other things and then just brought in. It was like, stock footage llamas.
Stock footage. There's a movie idea for you. Stock footage llamas. Whole movie of stock footage llamas.
As far as the comparison with Karis Hell, though, the characters are a lot better in Karis Hell. Just the dialogue is a lot funnier. The stuff is a lot funnier. There are subplots going on, like with the unicorns and with the other things that kind of make it a little more fun, that this movie just was kind of lacking.
Yeah.
They had the thing with the brother and the sister going on, but other than that, and especially with the party itself, the party was fairly tedious, and I didn't really like any of the people, or I didn't particularly care about any of them. I just couldn't wait for the damn llama to start killing them all because I didn't like any of them.
And he kills out like more than half of them in the fucking hot tub.
Right?
Yeah, which I just felt like was lazy.
And two of them, like, they're like looking at their friends dying in the hot tub with electricity. They stick their foot in anyway.
Right.
What the hell?
Yeah, that was dumb. I mean,
was the biggest what the fuck moment.
And it wasn't even a good.
They thought they were probably passed out, because that's what everybody was thinking, that they're just passed out.
Oh, right.
They're so drunk, and that's why they dip their foot in, and then they get, because you got to get rid of.
I think their bodies are still going like that.
Right.
Well, I mean, when you got 10 people and you haven't killed any of them yet, you got to get rid of some of them somehow. So might as well just throw them all into the hot tub.
Right,
so
but
it's.
Didn't they get into they went into the hot tub seeing the electricity in the hot tub? I mean, that's just lazy. That's just like, okay, we're going to make these characters dumber than whatever. And it's like, and then that one guy comes in and says, like, that one guy comes in and he looks over and just sees everybody, which would normally look like they're passed out. And he goes, they're dead.
I brought the beer, as he drops all empty cans of beer.
All right.
They are empty. Yeah, you can definitely tell that they're all empty. So when I was rewatching it, I was trying to figure out how they were doing certain things. And, the animation is obviously because they couldn't afford to make a planet and have the llamas and stuff. So that was obvious. And then they probably had, one horse carrier that they could, add wings to, which I thought was creative. I thought that worked well as a spaceship for the llama.
That was cute.
And then you have the guy in the helicopter that lands, who his voice was obviously ADR'd. And I'm looking at this thing going, okay, because first of all, who's he bagging up? Because he goes, all right, bag him up, bring him back. Who's he bagging up? Who's bagged up? There's nobody dead. Because he's not referring to the two people who were killed at the farm, because they have a funeral.
Continuity.
Continuity.
Yeah, so who is it? And then you could tell they probably went to the place that had the helicopter. They're like, we'd like to rent your helicopter. Okay, well, I have to drive it. Okay, well, how much? $100 an hour. Okay, we'll give you $200 for 2 hours. We need for you to just fly into a field. The guy will get out, say his lines, which with the noise of the helicopter, that's probably why they ADR'd it. And then we'll have him get back into the helicopter, and then you fly off. So there's your 2 hours.
Right.
So it's like almost everything in this film, you could kind of tell, even like the house that they were at. If you notice, there was no blood in the house.
Right.
It was only outside the house.
Super
on the porch.
Yeah. So it's like, and they had to do the electrocution in the hot tub.
Right.
There's no blood in there. So obviously the person who rented them the house said, you can't get blood in the house. You can get blood outside the house.
Airbnb,
you can't get blood inside
maybe.
the house.
Or is somebody's mom or dad,
Yeah, you can use it, but just make sure there's no blood inside. We'll just wash it off when you get done.
So
it's just weird how you could kind of see all these little things of, oh, they probably rented the house or it was a friend. oh, that helicopter they probably rented it and that's the actual pilot.
I did not watch Red Letter, whatever podcast about the film, but I have to ask, since you guys both did, the dude with the shirts, was that done on purpose or was that just really bad continuity?
Yeah.
And I don't think Red Letter Media did it. Bloodbath and Beyond did it for sure.
Oh no, not Red Letter Media didn't do it. Bloodbath and Beyond did it. And they even brought up the shirts.
They brought up the shirts.
It's definitely intentional. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, exactly. No, see, me and you are on the same page. John caught it real quick when we were hanging out watching the movie. He noticed. I didn't even notice the shirts at first. I wasn't even paying attention to that. I just
I noticed.
Whatever.
Definitely.
And so he was wearing a different shirt in like pretty much every scene that he was in. And and he was like, "This is on purpose." And at first, I didn't know. I thought maybe it was a continuity issue, but I think they did it just as a joke, you know.
Oh no, it's definitely a joke because when he's giving his big speech right before he dies, he's wearing a Captain Kirk shirt. He's actually wearing the classic Star Trek shirt, like Kirk would be giving like a big speech, but he dies in it. So it's just like the names in the movie. All the names are fake. Like none of these names are real.
How we doing?
Yeah, exactly. I'm doing fine, thank you. I mean, all this stuff was a goof. The dance, the slow motion dance, it's all a goof.
Oh man, and some of that stuff was so painful to watch.
Exactly. Like, it's some of it worked, some of it kind of didn't.
Yeah, like the scene where they're slow motion dancing because they said a line or something, and a lot of it just seems like a lot of in jokes, you know, like there was no, like, to me it feels like there was no script, and even though it says it's written by a couple people, like I feel like it was no script. Everybody just kind of like they just decided to do shit on the fly, you know, and you know what I mean, like that's not what it felt like, even if it's not what it was, you know.
I think they probably had. I mean, they would have to have something, but I think it was a very loose script,
right?
You know, that it was probably party scene, improv, you know, or you know, make sure Joe talks about
Evil Dead,
putting coasters down. The blatant for no, you know, it's the only film reference in the entire movie is Evil Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, from when this film was made, hey, you know, what about the newest Evil Dead? You know, what about, you know, Ash? You know, that they've only brought up parts 1, 2, and 3.
I thought they brought up the remake. I thought the whole point was like.
Oh, and the remake. Yeah. So they brought up the remake, but they didn't. But not the newest one though. Not the TV show. They didn't bring.
Oh no, they bring up the TV show, but they brought up the at that time the newest Evil Dead.
Just Evil Dead. Yeah.
Yeah, just Evil Dead, and so I mean, they're not talking about Ash versus Evil Dead. Maybe they don't have they didn't have Stars.
They have cable.
Yeah, so they didn't watch it. But anyway, like it was strange. There was just no, like it felt like a bunch of kids making a movie,
right?
Like,
and I'm glad that they tried. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was still kind of fun to watch. And you know, anytime you've got a movie named Llamageddon and it's about llamas from outer space killing people, sign me the fuck up. I'm gonna watch it. You know, it's just I just wish it had been quite so sloppy and a little bit more effort had been put into it. And you know, some of the looser, crappier things had been tightened up, and you know, could have been a little longer without the middle party stuff. I think that was the tedious part for me.
Well, I
agree.
Well, I thought, and the other thing I got kind of annoyed at later, not during the movie, but like afterwards, and I talked to somebody about it, I forgot who it was, but I mentioned the name Llamageddon, and they're like, oh, so it's about a bunch of llamas killing people, right? Because that's what you would think in a Llamageddon thing. And it was one llama that would spit like this nasty goo.
Cud.
Yeah, or whatever, right? Yeah. To the people, and it would turn them into another llama. Now, that was such a great idea, but they just didn't have the budget to to make it because you could tell, because then they were like, oh, we'll just kill off the thing before it becomes this, and I'm just like, oh, like, if you're gonna make it that cool, go the distance, or don't,
Or make that part of the animation.
yeah, make that would have been cool. See the person become it, in the animation, because we talked about this on Alien Beasts, where Alien Beasts lacked in some stuff. They actually had some cool, was it stop motion graphics to put into there to make up for some of the stuff that they're not able to do. That's what they could have done for this with the cartoons.
Yeah, the problem is that you have to make sure that the animation is good. Now, in this case, I thought the animation that I saw was really, really good, but you just don't want it to be like Dark Wolf, where the transformation scenes were just cheap, crappy, awful 8-bit, Nintendo kind of graphic that just looked embarrassing and bad.
And nowadays, compared to Dark Wolf was 2005 or 6, something like that.
Yeah.
This was 2015, and 2015, or maybe earlier, I don't know when they actually filmed it, but they had really good graphics back then. I mean, I know people who can do really awesome CGI stuff on like no budget, through Adobe. Like they could have done some cool stuff. I feel like it was lacking in some of the visual effects than, where it should have been.
Yeah. I didn't mind the one llama, because it's not llamas Armageddon, it's llama Armageddon. So I don't mind the one. That's where some studio likes the film and gives them actually a budget, then they can have 3 llamas.
Well, there were a bunch. They just all went to different places, and Earth got one.
Right. So that, and I didn't mind I liked the animation at the beginning. I actually didn't think the animation was necessary when all like the tentacles came out, because to me that didn't make sense. Weird. And I mean, I guess it's supposed to be having sex with the guy that's changing into a llama, which is why he does the llama egg. Which I like. But
llama egg was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're gonna do it, then maybe add more animation, but just not 2. I mean, you could almost bookend it with the animation.
Well, and then the other thing
with the.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. Otherwise, that's the only thing that, even though I like the animation, it kind of reminds me of like Wizards and Lord of the Rings and that stuff. That type of animation. But it's that's the only scene that I thought didn't really fit. I didn't mind the animation for it. It just, I don't know, if you're maybe for that scene to have part of a fake llama that he's having, having sex with him. I don't know.
Well, the other thing about this film is that if they had decided to go the Barn of the Blood Llama route and just go balls to the wall, insane, crazy, weird, that would have made it a lot more fun too, because Barn of the Blood Llama doesn't have a whole lot of money behind it either. And a lot of their effects are pretty bad. And there's a lot of strange stuff, but they do it in such a way that is so weird and so strange that it doesn't really matter. And it kind of works. And it just makes the movie more fun and more charming and more terrible because of that. And I know that irritated the living hell out of Moody, but for me, it just added to the charm. Now, I don't know if you've seen Barn of the Blood Llama yet, Mr. Ward, but you need to see that.
No.
Yeah.
I haven't seen some of these films that you're mentioning, so I guess I'm behind.
So it's funny. So we do a Patreon only podcast at some point. So maybe we'll have John on there for Barn of the Blood Llama if we do, because I have said I will watch it if we get a certain number of patrons and stuff, and we actually got a lot more patrons recently, so I have agreed that I'll watch that in Actium Maximus. So we will have to do that at some point.
I don't know that we could torment poor John Ward with Actium Maximus, but
we'll do Barn of the Blood Llama.
He'll enjoy Barn of the Blood Llama.
We'll have to find somebody else for Actium, for sure. I'm not watching it alone. No. No way.
Yeah, I totally understand that. You don't want to do that one alone. That's rough.
No, none of them. None of these movies.
Barn of the Blood Llama is a lot of fun, though. It's just, especially if you're in a silly mood, but you'll understand when you see that, and if you've seen Carousel, how if you see those two movies and then you see Llamageddon, you're kind of like, yeah, I've kind of seen all this already.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those, so I know of them, but that's about it.
You've never seen Carousel?
No.
Oh my
Great
goodness,
film.
you need
Great
to watch
film.
it. Definitely. We highly recommend it. Probably my favorite Steve Rosinski movie, though he's done a few that I love.
Hashtag llamas are cool.
There you go. But yeah, so to go back to Llamageddon, I like I enjoyed it for what it is. I know it's a goofy, silly, llama attack film with blood, and like the blood is really good, like there's some good gore. I mean, obviously what you said, like a super soaker thing,
Yeah.
like it looks like just they just sprayed a hose.
But yeah, like a fire hose or something on them. I mean, and what I like about that is it so doesn't make sense, but I like it is a person explodes like 100 feet away from the house,
and they still,
it doesn't matter where they are on the porch, they're sprayed with blood, and it's not like a wave of blood. It's each person is individually hit by blood, which wouldn't make it doesn't make sense.
As if there's somebody off camera soaking them.
Yeah. I mean, it's so intentional or not, I don't know. I thought that was kind of
fun. Oh, it's definitely intentional, because I think every mistake, every problem, and see, this is probably part of the problem with the movie, is that they are very self-aware of what they're doing. They know that they're trying to make a bad movie, right? The movies that we watch, Barn of the Blood Llama, I guarantee you, they weren't expecting to make a bad, terrible, horrible movie. They were just expecting to make a movie that wasn't probably going to be the greatest, but had charm and stuff. And that's what they did. They made a movie.
At least initially. I think part way through, they figured out this wasn't going to work. And so let's just go with it. And they just went off the deep end.
Maybe. So this they knew from the start that this was going to be, I mean, with the title like Llamageddon, they probably knew this was not going to be Citizen Kane, or whatever.
Well, I mean, it's so cheap that, when I guess it's the grandparents that die, when we cut to the cemetery, it's just a shot panning of the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
There's no funeral. There's no nothing. It's just like sad music and just a pan of the cemetery.
And don't forget the toy wiffle bat covered in aluminum foil as the weapon.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. That why would they have that if that's the thing that can help you defeat them? Why would they even have it in the spacecraft?
And it didn't help them ultimately.
Yeah.
Now the guy got like a home run once, and then that's it. So he just wasn't fast enough.
Yeah, exactly. But it was, I mean, like, I don't know, all of it was okay. Like, it had its moments, and it definitely set up for a potential sequel, which, I mean, what?
I said, of course.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so I want to talk real quick about the fact that Bloodbath and Beyond brought this up, and I thought we have to bring it up, which is the fact that apparently I did not know this, but when they first put it out on Amazon, they put it out for $1 million to buy.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I wonder if anybody bought it.
No.
I mean, that's a smart ass idea too. Obviously, if nobody buys it, then what's the point? But right, like they had to think like this is definitely going to get some attention, and that's what.
Oh, sure. So they know. I mean, just like the guy who was selling the piece of toast that supposedly looks like the Virgin Mary on eBay for a couple $1 million. He knows it only takes one sucker to buy it, and he's made all this cash. It just takes one.
Right.
So why not?
I mean, it was a smart move also because like I said, it gets you sort of noticed. People talk about that. Oh, it was $1 million, somebody put it up for $1 million to buy. But then they talked about on Bloodbath Beyond that they didn't take it off the 1 million for a while, like for a long time, but just stayed on there. And so nobody's going to buy it for $1 million, especially when they can watch it for Tubi for free.
They were hoping. They were really, really hoping.
Then later it went to Amazon for Prime. And
I totally understand that. P.T. Barnum said, never underestimate the stupidity of the American public. And that's why.
Yeah, I remember when they put it out there and I looked at it and said the same thing. Like, why would anybody pay this amount of money? And then I just kind of forgot about it for a while, and then until, I watched the Bath and Beyond video a while back when they first, reviewed the film. And it was just like, oh shit, that was the movie. That's right.
Yeah, so it's getting a lot more attention now, I think, because of Tubi, which is great because Tubi has a lot of What the Fuck Friday movies. And probably a lot we are going to talk about this.
I don't think I've ever seen a physical copy of this because I looked on Amazon and they weren't selling it. And I'm not sure who's selling a physical copy of it.
I don't think anybody is. I think it's just streaming.
Interesting.
Or you can just buy it for $1 million. For $1 million.
But you're not even getting the physical copy of it. That's the problem. You're just getting, I guess, the digital, right?
You're getting the Amazon digital copy.
Yeah, that's no bueno.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would pick it up if I found it for cheap. Like,
if it were me,
records or something.
I would have said, okay, we've made 10 digital copies and we have these gold discs and they're just painted gold. And they're the ones that we're going to sell for $1 million. That's what I would have done.
Yeah. Well, they tried to do something to get attention, and it worked. Like whatever, but it worked when people could watch it for free, because what they did first was they let people know about this movie, that it's cost $1 million for you to buy it, right? So nobody's going to buy it. Then later they go, okay, we're going to let you guys have it for free now. Right. And then people are going to go, oh, now that's free. I'll check it out. And they suckered us. Like, that's what we did. We did that. We all watched this movie because it was free to watch and we were able to review it. So there you go. You won Llamageddon.
As they do.
Llamageddon won. Yeah. Louis the Llama won. Now Louis I want to see Llamageddon 2, Electric Boogaloo. Or I think
it's mentioned if you Google it's there. They made a T-shirt. But I think that's about it.
It was something about the alpacas or something.
I want to see Barn of the Blood Llamageddon. I want to see a mashup.
Aren't you a friend of one of the guys there or whatever?
Yep.
The guy that made it. What?
Gibby,
yes. He's friends with that guy. So you can just message him and say, hey, talk to those Llamageddon people about doing a
He's going to say, hey, man, we were the OG llamas here.
Yeah. A Llamageddon versus Barn of the Blood Llama.
The World of Wool down in Dripping Springs, Texas.
Oh, Jesus.
There you go.
Where was this one filmed?
No idea.
Uranus?
Yeah. It was definitely had Uranus at one point, flying by.
I think that's where they came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It came from Uranus.
It's certainly.
But I will say one thing though, it did have an arc. The lead guy who was a geek had an arc. He might have been the only person in the entire film that had a character arc.
Yeah,
because he got laid and then became a man. So, which I actually did laugh at.
Which it was pretty badly done too in that, because he became a man, then he came downstairs. And then he acted like a child for a second, and then all of a sudden he was a man again. So it was like, I felt like he, wavered a little bit on that at one point. He kind of went back to his old things of like, I don't know, like not taking charge at any point, like at all. And then all of a sudden, I'm taking charge. I'm doing this. That's how I viewed it. But that was also, I believe, one of the writers.
I didn't see that part.
I did. Because he was like, at one point they were talking, what is it? They were trying to say that there's this thing, and they're like, oh, let's just hang out in the house. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to go outside. There's nothing going on. If he was a real leader, he'd be like, what's going on out there? Let's go find out. I I didn't think
I
of
don't
him as
I don't think that he became a leader. I just think he became one of them. He just became a douche.
that's true.
You know, he was like this, nerdy guy that, was afraid of his parents and all that stuff. And then, his idea of being a man is almost kind of mimicking the people in the house, which are all just a bunch of jerks.
So you don't think he's going to wet the bed anymore?
Maybe for old time's sake, but that's about it.
As you do.
As some nostalgia, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Looking back at my life and wondering how many times I wet the bed.
There you go.
Like,
and the stuff with the dad was confusing. That was confusing. You just see him like getting laid, and then they call him, and the call drops, and then he's like, "I have to go rescue my kids," and he just knows where they are. Like he just automatically knows
then
that they're
dies, and then he's not dead for real. And I was like, oh man.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, I thought he was sort of like, he was definitely kind of a throwaway character because he was in the beginning, right? Remember, like, we were wondering where did he go at one point. Remember, we were watching the movie, John, and we're like, the guy, like, wasn't he there with the woman and then just disappeared? Like he wasn't at the house or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there was some things I was just like a little confused about, and whatever.
And I wondered if there was some product placement going on because there was a lot of Bush and Bush Light like all over the place. And I kept thinking, good God, could you have picked the worst, shittiest, swaggiest beer in the world?
But I'm wondering if they're just being juvenile and it's Bush.
Yeah, may well be.
Yeah, but see, can you get away with that? Like, if Anheuser-Busch saw that, are they gonna come after them and say, hey,
if they sold the movie for $1 million, they might.
Oh, it's true. That's true. Because I mean, if they put the movies on for free on Tubi, I mean, but they are still making money every time you view the movie. So, I mean, I don't know. Well, good for them for making money.
I wish I knew how that works. I have 2 films on Tubi and haven't seen a dime.
Well, you're not the one who put that out there. You got to talk to your distributor about that.
I know. I think I'm getting ripped off on a lot of stuff because I'm seeing Axis 1 and 2 on a lot of platforms, and it's like, all right, I'm still only making that $1 per DVD.
You need to show up in a llama costume and get your laser eyes going and start zapping these people.
That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother show. Because I could go into like a million things about that, but we don't really have time for that. And plus it's not about Llamageddon. Llamageddon, I think overall, I think it was an okay movie. I think it wasn't, I feel like there might've been a little bit more hype, to it. Would I watch this again? Probably, like if I wanted to show somebody.
I'll torture Gary with it. And I'll torture some people with it.
Yeah, it's a movie to watch with your friends. I wouldn't watch this alone, or anything, unless I had to do another review or something, But aside from that, I would never watch this alone. But this is definitely something I'd watch with other people and see what they think and get their thoughts on it. It's not bad. It's just not, it's not fairly, it's not excellent or anything. It's kind of just mediocre, in my opinion. John, you seem to like it more the second time, so maybe the second or third or fourth, or what I mean? Maybe it gets better. I don't know.
I don't think I would ever watch it again. If there was a physical copy and somebody was at my place and said, "Oh, what's this? Llamageddon," I would probably put it on and we could watch it. But I don't think that I would ever sit down with the amount of movies that are on Tubi that I would go, man, I really need to see Llamageddon that third time.
Right.
So I don't think I ever would unless it's, and F them for not bringing out a physical copy.
Well, if they do,
seriously,
if they do bring out a physical, if they do a physical copy, I will definitely purchase it, especially if they have like audio commentary or something. I would like to hear these guys talk about what 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 was the process of making this movie?
I want them to interview Louis.
Well, no, but I also want them to do like have in the commentary, have a thing about talking about how to work with a llama, like that was that, or even a featurette working with the llama, working with them, showing behind the scenes of them getting the llama to
Gotta watch
actually
those
go do
llamas,
stuff.
man. They will spit cut at you.
I know, and I don't. I would stay away from that.
Well, see, and that's where I think like the house, the helicopter, the llama all kind of fall into the same thing, because the director was probably like, well, what kind of a film do we make? Oh, I know a guy who has a trained llama. He'll let you have it for like $300. He just has to be there with it. Oh, cool. Okay, well, now where does it come from? And then they kind of brought up this story,
I'm hoping
how do we get a
somewhere-
helicopter?
I'm hoping
the guy can
somewhere
downtown.
someone decided to make a porn movie with a llama involved, and I can do it on Sexploitation Sleazecast. That would just be awesome.
I'm sure there's probably one out there.
There's got to be. Talk to Rebecca. Find out what you guys can come up with. That would be hilarious.
Nice.
But llama porn. I mean, it's got to exist. I mean, there's so much porn in the world. I guarantee you Google that, you can find it.
It's llama-licious.
Yeah. But with that being said, thank you so much, John, for coming on the show today. I mean, this was fun.
Of course, thank you.
Now Paul needs a stuffed llama in the background to go with his cow.
I've got a llama. He's floating around here someplace.
Oh, there you go. We can make our next llama movie, or
I'm
whatever.
all about it. Matt.
I know.
I'll leave that to the experts.
You don't want to be involved, John?
And next time,
not if I have to deal with a llama.
Next time it's going to be one of my movies that we're going to subject Mr. Ward to.
Okay, definitely. We'll definitely have to subject him to something of yours next time. But thank you so much, John. This was excellent. We had a fun time, and we can't wait to have you come back. So,
thank you. Yeah, I look forward to it.
Yep, definitely. And everybody, thank you guys so much. Join us next month where we will have Paul doing another one, and who knows what he's going to subject us to.
I already know.
Oh, yeah.
Number one choice.
He's number one choice. So just be prepared. This is another season of What the Fuck Fridays. So we are.
What the fuck?
Yep, we are so excited. All right. Bye, guys.